Hi there, Mohammed. It's Andrew here once again, ready to correct your second set of essays. It looks like you've already made considerable improvements, but let's have a go, sentence by sentence, and see what we can do for you this time. So many cities around the globe are suffering from the impacts, I would say, of increasing pollution. To prevail is to come out on top, to win, to emerge victorious. Or prevailing pollution would be talking about sort of all-encompassing pollution that covers all. But we want to refer to the trend of pollution, and that can be achieved by talking about the impacts of increasing pollution. There are a number of reasons behind this devastating problem, and the following essay will discuss possible causes and solutions for this issue. So what I would recommend here is to focus on the fact that in this paragraph what you want to refer to is the health problems that are caused by pollution. So even though you have 2 points, that the production of toxic gases affects the quality of air, your main point here is that the abundance of waste and the release of gases into the atmosphere has caused the development or has caused an increase in infectious diseases and illnesses. So your general sentence at the beginning should refer to exactly that you want to expand into the area of illnesses caused by pollution. So we could say a primary negative factor from rising pollution is the adverse effects it has on human health. More specifically, the excessive production of toxic gases such as carbon dioxide from cars and factories affects the quality of air, which in turn is breathed by every resident in the city. And then we could use an example to support that. So we could say, for example, cities such as Mexico City and Cairo have millions of cars, and major industrial sites are located in close proximity to residential areas. Resultantly, many of the city's inhabitants have developed severe chest problems. This is exacerbated by the accumulation of waste products in city streets. For instance, or we could use a furthermore here. We could say furthermore, this problem is exacerbated by the accumulation of waste products in city streets. For instance, the government in Beijing is finding processing large amounts of garbage incredibly challenging. And unfortunately, the abundance of waste combined with toxic gases in the atmosphere has led to the development of many infectious illnesses. I wouldn't say infectious here actually, because the infectious illnesses refers specifically to bacteria. Oh, actually wait, I suppose waste products and the problem of rats would result in infectious illnesses, but let's summarize with both. Let's say the development of many infectious illnesses and respiratory problems. Respiratory refers to the lungs of the respiration system. Here we can say, however, there are numerous options that could mitigate the effects of pollution. Primarily, governments could limit the usage of fossil fuels by factories in factories, homes and cars, comma, and alternative sources of energy such as solar, nuclear and wind should be implemented by the authorities of major cities. Big is too informal for academic writing, so we usually change that for large or major. Moreover, governments should encourage recycling to minimize excess waste in these cities. And here I would change this around slightly and just say, the role of media is therefore clear in this issue. Or the role of media is therefore crucial in this issue in order to spread awareness of the value of recycling in the fight against pollution. I would say that in this paragraph we need just a little bit more expansion. So, the role of media, I agree with you, but I think it just needs a little bit more explanation. What would the role of media be? How would it benefit? Who would it benefit? What would they have to do? Here I would change this just to sum up or to conclude. I believe that pollution in major cities is caused by the large number of cars and factories, comma, as well as the accumulation of waste products, full stop. To solve this problem, comma, governments should support the use of cleaner energy sources and encourage the recycling of waste. But that's all good. So your task 1, as we've discussed before, all that's important here is that we use a consistent method to refer to the data, that any descriptions of the graph we give are supported by data extracted from the graph, and that we summarize all relevant points and identify trends where they exist. So let's have a read. This graph compares the number of car sales in how many different villages? We could condense a lot of this into a single sentence. So we could say, the graph compares the number of new and second-hand car sales across 7 different villages, or across 7 different UK villages in 2013. And then we can continue with the x-axis represents the number of cars sold by the Home Valley Car Group, comma, and the y-axis is representative of the villages included in this study. The blue bars demonstrate second-hand car sales, while the orange bars show the number of new cars sold. It is noticeable that in all the villages shown, the sales of used cars exceeded those of new cars. Furthermore, the highest sales of both new and second-hand cars was recorded in Home Firth with 544 and 650 respectively. On the other hand, the lowest number of cars sold in both categories was in Netherton, where 120 second-hand cars and 95 new cars were sold. Prepositions with, where, although where isn't technically a preposition, it can be used here as a prepositional phrase. In Home Firth with 544 and 650 respectively. In Netherton, where 120 second-hand cars and 95 new cars were sold. Looking closer at the graph, comma, we can divide villages into 2 major groups according to sales. In the first group, comma, the combined sales of both new and second-hand cars exceeded 500. Okay, 500 cars, that's good, that's fine. This group included Meltham, Home Firth, Slowett and Upper Thong. Members of the second group were Netherton, Netherthong and Longley Farm, where sales were fewer than 500 cars. If you have a fixed number with no unit of measurement, it's fewer, not less. If you have a unit of measurement that is not definitely quantifiable, then you can say less. We can have less flour, less noise, but fewer grains of sand, fewer cars. But I would say, at the end of this course, Mohammed, I would expect you to be scoring around about an 8. I think at the moment you're probably closer to the 7 mark, maybe just under. But I think across the next 2 corrections, there's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be aiming to get an 8 in IELTS writing. So I'll look forward to your next pieces. I'll speak to you very soon.